Happy Sunday, everybody. I am very glad that you decided to join me today, and we are going to have some fun with pizza. Now, we have a little bit of stuff already on the go here. Now, I've started beating these eggs, and I decided that I wanted to get part of this done before we got together because I didn't want to make you guys listen to my hand mixer for 5 minutes. So you really don't need to beat the. Now this is just 2 whole eggs. That's all it is. And I've been blending it now for about 2 minutes. And I'll just show you what we're trying to do here. I know this is noisy. Now this is why I decided that we really didn't want to do this while we were hanging out together. But you can see how beautiful and creamy this is. Okay, so that's enough of that. We're just going to set these aside. There we go. No production crew today. Now the other thing, I've been very, very busy this morning. The other thing that I've been doing this morning is I have been rendering some bacon. Now you remember last week I told you about the bacon that I got from Double J. Well, I took some of the bacon that I got from them, and I've just been rendering it down, and look at all of the beautiful bacon fat that's in here. I'm going to get, I don't know, tons. And so I put this in a frying pan. Now you can do this in the oven. I prefer to do it in the frying pan. I cut it up like you would for bacon bits or, you know, bacon for a salad. So just little pieces, you can see. And I started it out on a little bit of a higher heat, and I've turned it right down to minimum because I don't want the bacon in here to get rock hard, but I do want the fat to keep rendering out. So it's almost as done as I want it, but I'll deal with this a little bit later. Okay, now we are going to do a carnivore pizza. Now I have been doing almost carnivore. I've had a couple of grams of carbs, mostly from herbs or spices that I've added to something, but mostly I've been doing just carnivore. Now I have had people say there is no possible way I can afford to do keto because I can't eat steak all the time. Well, I want to tell you, I can't afford to eat steak all the time either. However, this week I was very fortunate in that I found a beautiful package of steak that was 30% off. So watch in your local grocery. You might find some great sales or some discounted. Now, if it's discounted 30% or 50% off, doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. It means they need it to move quickly. And so you either need to take it home and freeze it or take it home and cook it. So I had a large package with 3 steaks in it. So you cook one and you put the other 2, one in the freezer, one in the fridge, whatever works for you. At any rate, watch for those savings. And if you don't find something like that, you can buy hamburger, you can buy ground pork, you can buy whatever it is that you can buy for meat. And if the only thing that you can afford, you know, Dr. Ken Berry says this all the time, and I am just going to steal it from him. If you can't afford grass-fed, grass-finished, panda-massaged meat from your local, I don't know, local delicacy store, then don't. If the best you can do is hot dogs and bologna, do hot dogs and bologna, but make sure you're watching the ingredients and the nutrition count. And if you can find something that is way lower than all the other brands, then buy that. But you don't have to not do something that's healthy because you can't afford the biggest and the best. I do not drive a Lamborghini or a Porsche, but I do drive a car, and it gets me from point A to point B. So it doesn't need to be the biggest, the best, and the most expensive. It needs to be the best that you can do reasonably. And before you say, well, I can't afford to, I want you to think about when you're doing keto or carnivore, whichever, and we'll talk a little more about carnivore because I'm quite enjoying it actually. Before you say you can't do that, I want you to think about all of the stuff that you're buying right now that you wouldn't be buying if you were eating in a keto or a carnivore fashion. You wouldn't be buying most of the processed foods. If you're buying hot dogs and smokies and bologna, then that's fine. You're still going to be buying that. But you're not going to be buying the Kraft dinner and the jam and the chocolate spreads, and you're not going to be eating fast food. You are going to be saving so much money. I was listening to a podcast earlier, and this lady was talking about how when they stopped eating fast food, they saved about $500 a month on their grocery bill. Well, I am here to tell you, Dell and I were probably pretty close to that. When we were driving truck, we would come home and we were just tired. So we would order pizza, or we would go and have a burger, or we would do whatever at whatever fast food place. We spent a ridiculous amount of money doing that. So when we started doing keto and we were eating at home, we ended up saving quite a lot of money. So do some math before you decide what you can and can't do. Okay, now here we are. This is beat up eggs. Now to this, we're going to add 25 grams of pork rinds. So the eggs, those are keto, those are carnivore. Let me get my little spatula. 25 grams of pork rinds. Now we're making our pizza crust, in case you're wondering. Now we are also going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. Now that's going to give us a little bit of flavor. Now remember, the pork rinds have salt in it, so you don't want to be adding a whole bunch of salt, because you add a whole bunch of salt to this and you're going to have a very salty crust. Now the next thing that we are going to add to this, I'm going to get this Italian seasoning mixed around a bit, is 60 grams of shredded mozzarella. Now if you are looking for an economical way to have shredded cheese, shred it, throw it in a freezer bag, put it in your freezer. That way you can buy a huge big block, use your food processor to shred it if you've got one, or maybe you buy shredded cheese. If you do that, it isn't the best option, but I'll be honest with you, when it's a big bag and I want a lot of cheese in my freezer, that is exactly how I do it. So 60 grams of shredded mozzarella. So we have 2 eggs, we have 25 grams of ground pork rinds. Now the pork rinds, the best ones that I have found, and you can get a huge big tub at Costco for, I don't know, $10, $12, something like that. And they are absolutely the most economical way to go, and they are delicious. I like them better than a lot of other flavors. Now, if you don't have a whole lot of self-control and you think you're going to come home and eat them all, when you come home, spend 10 minutes, grind them all up, make them into breading, and then you can put them in a freezer bag and you can store them in your freezer if you like, or they are cupboard stable as well. So this is our pizza crust. Not something that you're going to be doing this over your head with, granted, but it is something that is going to be absolutely delicious, and it's going to hold our pizza toppings. So we're going to get this in a pan about 20 minutes till it's as firm as you like it. Half an hour maybe. Depends on your altitude, it depends on your oven, but you want to make sure that it's nice and firm. Okay. And this is a non-stick pan. And look at how this is spreading out. Now, you remember a couple weeks ago we did pizza, and one of the crusts that I did was just a ground beef crust, which was absolutely delicious, but it kind of had a little bit of a lacy effect on it, and it was still really good. Del really enjoyed that one. And the chicken crust turned out better, but this turns out just absolutely beautiful. Okay, so there is that. Couple of smacks on the counter, and that just straightens everything out. And into a 350 degree oven for a little bit. Now, look at what you get out of that oven. And you can just go around the edge, and you can see this is almost that is not quite sturdy enough. This is almost as crispy as a pizza crust would be too. And you're going to need something to lift this out of here. I'm thinking maybe I should have greased this pan. Actually, I know I should have, and I forgot. But it's all good. It is all good. Okay. We're not going to worry about that right now. Now, for a pizza sauce, if we're doing carnivore, there's no way that we are going to have tomato sauce with herbs. So we are going to take 1 ounce of cream cheese, and to that we're going to add 1 teaspoon of TSL Organics taco seasoning. And, whoops, dropped my fork. We're just going to mix this up. Now you're going to want to put the cream cheese in the microwave, which I did, but it sat on the counter for a little bit, so it's kind of firming up again a bit. That's okay. Now this is not something that you want on here really thick. I mean, if you want to do a little more than this, or you don't want quite as much taco seasoning, I'm just kind of doing a taco pizza today, so this works for me. Okay, now this doesn't have to be super mixed up because we're just going to spread this on our pizza crust. You really do want to remember to grease your pizza pan. And I got to tell you, the one that we just put in the oven, yeah, didn't grease that one either. And if that is the worst thing that happens to me all day, it is still going to be a pretty amazing day. That's what I know. Now, I do want to say something to somebody very special, and I don't know if he's going to see this or not, but my Uncle Lyle turned 85 yesterday, and he is a very special man, and I want to wish him a very special birthday. I'm sure yesterday was amazing, and I am so sorry that I could not be there to celebrate it with you, but I'm glad that my mom, his sister, was there. And I'm sure they had an incredibly good time at the birthday party last night. So next time. Now, I am just spreading this out on the crust. And you can see all of the taco seasoning in this cream cheese. This is just going to give it so much flavor. Now, if you are hanging out here with me today, say hi. Let me know you're there. Okay. Now, I'm pretty sure that Del is probably watching this. He went back to work this morning. There. Now, we've got this spread all over the pizza crust. Now, could you do this all in one shot? You probably could. I haven't actually tried, but you know, if you make the pizza crust and just kind of drizzle this on top and then add your toppings, then you just let me know how you did it. Now, we are going to add whatever meat you want. So a little bit of leftover ground beef that also has some taco seasoning in it, TSL Organics taco seasoning, and some TSL Organics beef seasoning as well. So the rest of this batch went with Del in the truck. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take some of this beautifully rendered bacon, and we are just going to sprinkle it on top. I'm not being careful to drain this really thoroughly. I mean, I don't want globs and globs of grease on it, but fat is a very important part of a keto diet for sure, and a carnivore diet as well. Now, one thing about carnivore that is really awesome, I'm just going to set this over here, is that you really do not have to count your carbs. You don't have, well, there are no carbs to speak of, so you're not counting carbs. You do have to watch your fat to protein ratio. So gram for gram, you want twice as many grams of fat as you get grams of protein. And the reason why is, check this out. 1 gram of protein is 4 calories. 1 gram of fat, 9 calories. Now, we're not counting calories, but the reason that's important is because when you look at the calorie part of this, it shows that you're getting way more fat. Even if you have 2 grams of fat for every gram of protein, you're already getting double the calories in fat if it's even. So if you double the fat, then we do 2 grams of fat, maybe, we get 18 grams of protein, or 18 calories. So most of your calories, the majority of your calories are coming from fat, and that's going to do several things. It's going to keep your ratios level. It's also going to make sure that you are satiated. You are not going to need to eat nearly as much of this pizza as you would a pizza from the best pizza place in the world. Best pizza place in the world, when you start making your own carnivore pizza, is going to be your house. When Dell and I were driving truck, we were down in the Los Angeles area one time, and we were loading down there, and I said to this very nice Mexican man, or Latino man, I said, if you want really good Mexican food around here, where do you go? And he just looked at me and smiled, and he said, I go home. So there you go. Now, cheese on our pizza. I have some nacho cheese. So this is the cheese that I was talking about having in my freezer. And so I'm going to show you. We're just going to pour some on here. And this pizza is going to go in the fridge, and I am going to cook it for supper because I am doing intermittent fasting right now, and I don't want to be eating this early in the day. So, am I going to be testing what we've just done? Nope, I'm not right now, because I am going to behave myself. I don't always behave myself, but this time I am going to behave myself. Rest of this goes right back up in the freezer, and this is ready for supper. Now, you can do this ahead of time, and you can freeze it. Make sure you grease your pan. This is not coming out of here unless you do. You can have your crust as firm or not as you want. Line your, if you don't want to grease this, you can line it with parchment paper. It'll come out super easy, and I should have done that, but I didn't. I have kept all of you long enough. I am so grateful that you joined me today. I hope that you have fun playing with carnivore pizza, with keto, however you're doing it. It doesn't need to be difficult. And if you are in need of TSL organic spices or spice blends, just let me know and we can certainly make that happen. Have an amazing day, and thank you again for joining me. Go and do your very best to live your best version of this shining life. That's what I'm going to do.